candidate Jacqueline Brand, running for constituency number 1, said she's taking an all-inclusive campaign with plans for growth and development within the constituency as PLP officially opened the campaign's Vision Center for constituency number 1. According to Brand, she is running for transparency in government, accountability and overall good governance. Among her focus areas, she said, are improvements in community health care, social support, sports development, education, improvements in public infrastructure within her constituency, and business development. She reminded voters that much is at stake in the upcoming general elections.
Just a reminder of what is at stake in this election. People of constituency number 1, these are critical times where our nation faces a serious threat. There are health-related threats, economic-related threats, security-related threats. And in times like these, leadership matters. We saw how our Prime Minister with his team successfully took us through the darkest days of the pandemic compared to other nations with greater resources. Don't take that for granted. We saw how his shrewd fiscal management was able to keep the country afloat despite having a major income-generating industry, that is tourism, closed for almost 2 years. Up to now, people want to know how he gets it though. We saw how we went in a few short years from being labeled the murder capital of the world to have crime drastically reduced and safer streets under his leadership. That is the leadership I wanted to be associated with, and the team I wanted to join to build on the progress. We have come too far to turn back now.
The launch of the PLP constituency number 1 campaign office comes as all political parties have ramped up their activities as they anticipate a call to the polls in just a few weeks' time. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
Bus drivers are proposing an increase of bus fares, but the government does not want to entertain this at this time. A leaked document showing proposed bus fares increases on St. Kitts as presented by the bus drivers has caused some discussion in the public domain in light of the current increase in the cost of living globally. At a public meeting earlier this week, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris dismissed the bus drivers' request.
The other day, you saw the fake news they put out. Bus fare going up, trying to create confusion in the land. Well, bus fare can't just go up so, and nobody say nothing to you, and nobody asks the government nothing, and bus fare have to be regulated. Well, ask the minister to call them in and tell them no fear going up here to burden the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
The Ministry of Transportation in a statement recently said that increase in fares has not been approved by the government, who has the sole authority to change bus fares, which are regulated by the state. Such changes in fares can only be done after negotiations and discussions between the Ministry of Finance and the Transportation Board and the relevant bus associations in consultation with the Cabinet. There has been no such engagement on the matter of bus fares, the statement said. The ministry said when contacted, neither the East Bus Association or the St. Peter's Bus Association was aware of any such discussions about fare changes. The ministry said efforts were made to contact both the West Bus Association and the Sugar City Bus Association on the matter. The ministry was unable to reach the latter association, they said. However, President of the Westline Bus Association, Nicholson Rambo Webster, in an interview on Freedom FM this week, said that the government is aware of the proposals to increase fares and that a meeting that was to be held recently with the Minister for Transportation and Ports, Wendy Phipps, did not happen as planned.
They also made a statement that they met with the East Line and the Monkey Hill and they tried to reach out to us and they didn't get us. That is also a lie. The permanent secretary for the Transportation Board called me. She called me about 12:09 that very Friday. Summoning me to a meeting at 2 o'clock with Wendy Phipps. I consult with the guys. The guys said we won't be able to make it to that meeting. Then after 2, about 2:30 somewhere around there, when the Pips called me, I explained to her we was unable to make it to that meeting. And I tell her I'm not willing to discuss nothing on the telephone. So for them to say they didn't reach us, that's a lie. Total lie.
Mr. Webster said in light of the current economic conditions in the country and globally, bus drivers deserve an increase in fares.
Every single body knew, including the government. They are the one who have been running and trying to run and hide from us, who do not want to meet with us. We have been seeking a meeting for the longest time. Somebody leaked the document, and that is how it came out. The document was leaked. Nobody advised the public about any increased fares. Somebody leaked the document, and the document went around, and it caught wind, and the government responded to the document. If the government had engaged us, because the letter that we sent them and was supposed to produce in cabinet by Wendy Phipps had the 3 items, and we said how much we intend to raise the bus fare by. So I don't understand how they want to say they do not know. It's since May 16th they had the letter. Since 2008, the government raised the salaries. How many times they get double salaries? How many times? How many times in the last year Bowie carry up the drinks? How many times the fishermen them carry up the fish? Even the jellyman them and the road gone up. And you want to tell me that we cannot access a dollar quart for after 14 years? Anybody who feel like this is an issue is more than unreasonable.
The Ministry of Tourism, Transport and Ports said the government will not entertain an increase in bus fares at this time when the people of the country are confronted with an increase in the cost of living beyond their control. The government met with the East Line and St. Peter's bus associations, informing them of extension of concessions that the government had implemented to help bus drivers. In an interview on Freedom Radio, a representative of the St. Peter's Bus Association conceded that the concessions would be more beneficial than fare increases at this time, but Mr. Nicholson disagrees. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
When you're looking to sell, buy, rent, or manage a property, your answer has to be Diamond Real Estate and Management St. Kitts, Dreams. They provide oversight of real estate and physical property in St. Kitts and Nevis, perform regular maintenance, utility payments, and safety checks to ensure your property is well kept. Dreams manages and optimizes your rental listing, recruits tenants, and much more. Looking to sell that parcel of land or property, or dreaming of owning your own? Trust Dreams under the leadership and experience of its CEO, Velma Merchant. Many can attest to her professionalism and customer service. Diamond Real Estate Management St. Kitts. Call 663-7326 or visit their office at 15 Shadwell Industrial Estate, making your real estate dreams come true.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
When visiting St. Martin, you want clean, affordable accommodations. You need Midtown Motel in the heart of Phillipsburg, a place where you can relax, take a stroll on Great Bay Beach, and that provides you easy access to great shopping. Midtown Motel, located on Front Street, Phillipsburg, St. Martin. Call Midtown Motel at 721-542-0614 and book your stay today.
Come get your fresh smoothie at Master Mix Smoothie in Bastyr at 2 locations, the Bastyr Public Market or under the arch at the National Museum. Get a fresh, all-natural, healthy and tasty smoothie with flavors of your choice. Master Mix Smoothie knows the flavors that you like and mixes it all up for you the way you want it. Master Mix Smoothie, 2 locations, the Bastyr Public Market or under the arch at the National Museum. Master Mix Smoothie, always the real thing, always smoothie.
Nestled between evergreen mountains and the Caribbean Sea on the island of St. Kitts is the Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center. With breathtaking views, a rugged, beautiful shoreline, and immaculate manicured gardens make this the perfect location for your holiday, event, or wedding. With a large convention center, apartments with balconies providing stunning views, and a secluded cottage for larger family groups or honeymooning couples looking for some privacy. We have something for everyone. Book your stay at www.millhouseskn.com or visit our Facebook page, the Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center, an oasis of tranquility.
CCM candidate for Nevis 11, Alexis Jeffers, called on his audience to support the CCM in the upcoming general elections so they could continue the fight for CCM's development agenda for Nevis. According to Jeffers, the CCM has always had the people of Nevis at the center of their policies, including the need for the island to obtain its fair and equitable share from the national assets sold under the Citizenship by Investment program. He explained that more can be done for the people of Nevis, and he intends to bring about greater development for Nevis 11.
We are saying to the people of Jessops and the people of Nevis that we are going back to Bastia to continue that fight on your behalf. You invested in us in 2020, in 9, 10, and 11, 3 seats never before in the history of Nevis. You invested in us, and your investment has paid dividends. Further investment will be made in us, and we'll go back and continue that fight on your behalf. And I'll say to you that there's work to be done on the island of Nevis. That is why we say we need money. We need our fair share. And no one in St. Kitts should think that we are out of place to ask for our fair share. We are one country. And whatever is brought into Bastia, it is to the benefit of St. Kitts. It is to the benefit of Nevis. It is to the benefit of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So here's what I'll say to you. Our young men and young women have been clamoring for housing. About 3 years ago, we borrowed $25 million from the Social Security Board. I have said to the people of Jessops, I've said to the people of St. Thomas's and throughout the entire island of Nevis that we are going to bring housing to you. And here's how. I've said to the Premier that once we receive our fair share out of Bastia, I need another $25 million. We are not going to borrow it from the Social Security this time. We were able to do those mortgages at just a mere 5% interest. Persons are now paying between $900 to $1,200 a month. I believe if we are taking monies that we receive as our fair share, we can bring that interest rate down. We can bring those payments down. And I want to do that throughout the entire island of Nevis.
Both parties have been campaigning hard for the attention of the electorate on the island. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
A highway from West Bastia to the Capistier area is once again being mooted by the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, something they promised to do if elected. Samuel Duggins, the candidate for the party for Constituency 4 during a public meeting in Old Road Thursday night, reiterated that promise, calling it a highway of opportunities.
And I know we have all heard about the highway of opportunities, as I like to call it. And Dr. Douglas spoke to it tonight. That highway that will connect from our people in West Bastia all the way down to number 6. And that highway, comrades, it's not just a road. What the highway represents is relief from some of the congestion that we face, especially here in Constituency 4, where we have been forced to move this meeting over here away from where we wanted to keep it right there in the gut, because the officers were afraid that the traffic will not have a space to flow. I am saying our highway of opportunities will done away with that, because now you would have a clear highway to drive as you like, all the way from Capistier, all the way back to Bastia. No restrictions, no hindrances, and you can all enjoy that. But that highway doesn't only represent that, comrades. That highway will open up more opportunities, because as you build a highway at the foot of the mountains, you will open up more lands for farming. You will open up more lands for housing. And because of all that construction, you will open up opportunities for jobs, and more jobs for all of our people of constituency number 4. And that is what we are talking about. Visionary, transformational leadership constituency number 4.
The idea was first announced during the 2015 general elections by then Public Works Minister Dr. Earl Asim Martin. It was also touted last night by former Prime Minister Dr. Denzil Douglas during his presentation at the meeting in Old Road. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline. If you're looking for a place to host that special event, conference, meeting, social event, party, whatever the occasion, your best option is the Millhouse Convention Center in Palmetto Point, St. Kitts. Located on the picturesque Garvey's Estate, the Millhouse Guesthouse Convention Center has enough space for outdoor events overlooking the Caribbean Sea. If you're looking indoors, the center is equipped with amenities needed to make your event a success. And by combining both spaces, you're sure to have a memorable event, no matter the occasion. Call the offices at Millhouse Guesthouse and Convention Center to book your next event on simply the most beautiful place in St. Kitts. Call 668-1392. Millhouse Convention Center at Garvey's Estate, Palmetto Point, St. Kitts. Making your event memorable.
It's the new and improved SKN Newsline Android mobile app. With the SKN Newsline app, you can watch your news reports, the SKN Newsline newscast, sports, special features, and so much more. You can also send us a WhatsApp or call us directly. Go in the Google Play Store, search SKN Newsline, and download the app today. The SKN Newsline mobile app. News on the go.
An open interactive event can be described as
tremendous, effective,
on par with any conference around the world.
From exhibitions to trade shows, corporate events to product launches, from press events to political functions. We are the secret sauce behind events that make you go, wow. We've staged multiple world-class events in the Caribbean and developed the skill to deliver quality in every detail, whether the event is live or fully virtual, or maybe even somewhere in between. At Open Interactive, we got your events covered. Get your free quotation today at www.madebyopen.com.
A somber ceremony for a country in disarray. A year after President Jovenel Moïse was assassinated, Haitian authorities and diplomats met to mark the occasion. Current acting President Ariel Henry says he's committed to seeking justice.
I'm determined to encourage the continuation of the investigation until its conclusion. Haitian justice can count on the unconditional support of the government. Despite its weaknesses, the justice system must continue to track down and sentence the culprits so that our country will never have to go through such drama again.
But despite dozens of arrests, including a group of Colombian mercenaries, Haiti's investigation remains stalled. And many accuse Henry himself of being involved after he fired his justice minister and a prosecutor last year when they called for him to be investigated in connection with the murder. He denies any involvement. On Thursday, hundreds took to the streets of the capital Port-au-Prince in protest, burning tires and calling for Henry's resignation.
The Prime Minister must go to jail because he was involved in the killing of the President. This is not normal in the 21st century. It is shocking. But his legacy will not die. We will continue.
Some of the arrested Colombian mercenaries have released a video saying they had gone over 70 hours without food. They haven't been charged and haven't had access to a lawyer for 10 months. A separate investigation in the US has led to 3 arrests, including a former US government criminal informant. In a statement on Thursday, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the U.S. remains concerned about the limited progress of Haiti's investigation. Since the killing, the already fragile economic and political situation in the country fell deeper into dysfunction as gangs took over large parts of the capital. Thousands of people have been killed, tortured, or forced to leave.
What has happened in Haiti for the past years shows that shortcuts do not work. There is a crisis, it's getting worse. So we need to tackle the issues. We need to make sure that we fight gang violence and have a political consensus and have free election.
But when none of these options on the horizon, Haitians are left in a grim spiral of violence and impunity that sees an ever-growing number of them ready to risk their life to leave the country. Alessandro Rampietti, Al Jazeera.
First, this evening, Jamaica has recorded its first case of monkeypox. The male patient recently traveled from the United Kingdom. This was disclosed this afternoon by Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton at a press briefing. Anthony Lugg has the details.
When the Health Ministry announced an emergency media briefing Wednesday afternoon to address public health emergencies, Jamaicans were on edge. And when Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton addressed the nation,
Jamaica has its first confirmed case of monkeypox. The patient is a male who recently traveled from the United Kingdom. He presented to the public health system on July 5th, having arrived on the island some 5 days earlier.
The Health Ministry would not provide much details on the patient. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Besesa McKenzie would only provide the parish the case was detected and actions being taken.
The case that we have is in the parish of Clarendon, and we would have started the contact tracing and would have quarantined the very close contacts. And we do not anticipate any risk to the communities that are involved.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the Cabinet have been briefed on the monkeypox case in the island. In response to the confirmed case, emergency protocols have been activated.
Among other things, our Emergency Operations Center has been activated. A review of all isolation facilities is to be done to look at the capacity to manage both monkeypox and COVID-19. The necessary health protocols, including surveillance, clinical management, lab management, as well as infection prevention and control, are being completed for the distribution to health teams island-wide.
Monkeypox is an infectious disease transmitted from animals to humans. However, when a person comes in contact with another human or material contaminated with the virus, it can be transmitted.
It is a fairly mild disease. However, the public needs to be aware of the risk of getting the disease, and so therefore to take the necessary precautions. If you are carrying out the COVID precautions in terms of wearing the mask, keeping your physical distancing, then you will prevent the spread of monkeypox as well.
And with the latest development in the country, this appeal from the Health Minister.
It's not a reason to be uncertain or scared. We are informing you as soon as we got confirmation so that you are aware. And I think we have a duty to make you aware. But this information is not intended to cause anyone to be unduly alarmed, except that personal responsibility requires that you protect yourself.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
The former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has died after being shot while giving a speech at a campaign event. Now, eyewitnesses say that Mr. Abe was shot twice from behind while giving a speech in the street. The country's current Prime Minister has condemned the shooting, calling it an act of brutality. And world leaders have also come out in the last couple of hours expressing their shock as well. Now, a man was detained after the shooting. It happened in the city of Nara in western Japan, where Shinzo Abe was giving his support to a candidate there. Let's get more on this now and go straight to our correspondent, Marika Oi, who's in Singapore. Marika, incredibly shocking, not just because violence is so rare in Japan, it has been for such a long time, it's very difficult to get hold of a gun, but also Shinzo Abe, we must remind all of our viewers, wherever they are in the world, that he remains a very powerful man in Japan. He was a hugely influential figure, wasn't he?
Indeed, he comes from a political family, and he has been, he was Japan's longest serving prime minister, only stepped down in 2020. But as you said, he still has huge influence over the current administration. So, for example, when Russia invaded Ukraine, Mr. Abe came out and said that Japan needed to increase military spending. And then shortly after, you start hearing from the current Prime Minister, Fumio Kishida, echoing the sentiment. So you can see how still very influential he is. And it came as a huge shock when we first heard the news that he was shot at around 11:30 a.m. local time this morning in Japan, as you said, in the city of Nara. Of course, Japan has an upper house election coming up this Sunday, and that's why he was out on the streets, giving a speech supporting one of the candidates in the city. Apparently, that visit was only confirmed late last night. So how the suspect managed to find out about it and prepared his attack, that remains to be seen. But as you say, a suspect, a 41-year-old man who lives in the city of Nara, has been in police custody. He's been quoted by a couple of local media reports saying that he had disagreements with Mr. Abe's policies and decided to attack him. But this kind of violence is extremely rare. So as you can imagine, it comes as a huge shock to everyone in Japan. And it has just been confirmed by an official, by the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, that he has passed away. Yeah.
And it's also shocking because political violence is incredibly rare in Japan as well. But I've just noticed that world leaders around the world very quick to come out and express their shock as well. He wasn't just a popular leader in Japan, he was a popular leader on the international stage.
Yes, I mean, a couple of decades ago, Japan was known for a revolving door of prime ministers. Then Shinzo Abe, for the second time that he became a prime minister, he served for many years. And as a result, he became kind of the face of Japanese politics, became very close friends with, for example, Vladimir Putin. He had very close ties with him. And since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Mr. Abe has come under a bit of criticism about that. He's also known for his very nationalistic views. So he had very frosty relationships with Japan's neighbors like China and South Korea when he was the prime minister. So he was a divisive figure. While his economic policy has been cheered by a lot of investors, his foreign policy has been quite controversial. And as a result, some of the relationships that Japan has with its neighbors were somewhat strained as well. Yeah, our colleagues at BBC Monitoring, they've noticed that in China, leaders there have expressed their shock and they're paying tribute to Shinzo Abe, but online they're noticing that a lot of Chinese nationalists are celebrating his death, showing just how divisive he was there and that he didn't have friends everywhere. How do you think he would like to be remembered? You've been reporting on his career for some time now. Well, he was a politician who pushed for that constitution. Of course, Japan has that pacifist constitution since the end of the Second World War. He wanted that to be changed, and he's been pushing for that since he was in office. And even after he stepped down, he has been quite vocal about Japan's military spending, how Japan needs to cooperate more and, work with its allies when it comes to, for example, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And of course, the current government of Fumio Kishida has been quite proactive in working together with the United States and some of its other Western allies to put pressure on Russia, which didn't happen in 2014. So, as I said, he was a very influential figure, and even though he might not have been the most popular politicians in Japan, especially among those on the left, this attack comes as a huge shock, and we're now seeing a lot of pictures of him as a young child, because of course his grandfather was a prime minister, his father was a senior politician in the Liberal Democratic Party as well. So a lot of very old footage of him, I guess, climbing up the political ladder, if you like, of Japanese politics has been played many times on local media as people remember his legacy.
Career best knocks from the skipper Nicholas Pooran and Kyle Mayers took West Indies to a commanding 5-wicket victory over Bangladesh in the third and final T20 International here at the National Stadium, Providence. The victory secured West Indies a 2-0 series win. Remember, the very first game in Dominica was a no result. Chasing 164, the West Indies were in early trouble at 43 for 3 in the 7th over with the top 3 batsmen back in the pavilion. Brandon King went for 7, Shamar Brooks for 12, and Odin Smith, who came in at number 4, he was dismissed for 2. However, Nicholas Pooran and Kyle Mayers came together and added 85 runs that really took the game away from Bangladesh. They went about dominating the bowling attack. Pooran ended on a career best 74 not out of 39 deliveries with 5 fours and 5 sixes, ending the game with a wonderful shot straight back over the bowler's head to seal the success for the West Indies. Kyle Mayers made 55 off 38 with 2 fours and 5 sixes. Earlier, Bangladesh, they won the toss and they opted to bat first. The game started a delayed start because of the fact there was early morning rain, and the game started at 2 o'clock instead of 1:30. Bangladesh 163 for the loss of 5 wickets, with Afif Hussain making 50 and Liton Das 49. Bowling for the West Indies, Hayden Walsh Jr. continued his impressive run, picking up 2 for 25. West Indies, of course, going on to win the match by 5 wickets and the series 2-0. Reporting from the National Stadium at Providence, for the newsroom, I'm Avinash Ramzan.
Welcome to the SKN Newsline Weather Report. I am Janil Boone. Here is a look at the forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. More detailed weather report, visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com.